Welcome to Faith Talks Wood Podcast. I'm Will from Flatwood Acres.
And I'm Tom from Mountain Valley Maker.
And we're a podcast that talks about everything from Jesus to joinery and a little bit of everything in between. Tom, I texted you, and anybody that follows me on Instagram would have saw this today. I posted. I was brush hogging. I took off Friday from work, and I'm brush hogging around the one back field. And it's by our orchard, and we got this big maple tree, red maple tree in the middle of the field. And I'm coming around this tree, and I look up, and there is a hornet's nest that's about the size of a basketball right by my head. It's been really cold here in the mornings. We've had this cold front come through. It's been fantastic. But so I took off around the field with the tractor, and then I come back around and a little bit further away and looked, and they're starting to come out of there. And I'm like, oh, great. Well, I better switch fields. And so I went and did some other brush hogging and whatnot. But and so I've been asking people, how should I eradicate this thing? I got attacked by a hornet's nest when I was a kid, and I hate hornets. I hate bees, all of that. And so I don't want anything to do with it. And so I called around, got a couple of quotes to remove it from some pest control companies, all the way from the most expensive was $300, and then the second was $250, and then the other one was $175. And I almost pulled the trigger on that, but my wife's like, no, let's not spend the money on that. We'll take care of it. And I'm like, you crazy? Okay. And so a couple of the suggestions that I'd gotten were to light it on fire. I just brush hogged. It's been really dry, and I really don't feel like lighting my field on fire or that tree. So that's Xnade. Shooting it with guns, which sounds fun, and I could do, but I don't want to tick them off. And then one person told me to get a black lawn and garden big 55-gallon bag. You get two people, and one person holds the bag underneath of it, and then you at night when they're dormant, and you snip the branch and it drops in, and then you drop that bag into the burn barrel that you already have hot and going, and just burn them. So that all sounds great and everything. And Hugh, who is a listener of the podcast and a friend who has been on the podcast before, he works as a exterminator as a career, and he texted me, and then I talked to him on the way home, and he was giving me some pointers on what to do. He said he'd just take a shop vac out there. Like, one, it's 200 yards from my house, so there's no way I'm getting a shop vac out there unless I take my generator and do all that. And he says you just get the ladder, and you take the long tube and you just put it right underneath of it and just turn it on and fasten that to the ladder. He said just leave it out there all night, and the next day go out and they'll all be gone. I'm like, nah, bro, that doesn't sound good at all. So what ended up happening was tonight, I texted you and told you this. We're outside playing with the kids, back the swing, which is about 100 yards from where the hornet's nest is. My wife goes out there and starts picking up apples off the ground and throwing them at the bee's nest. My wife is crazy. She's got two older brothers. She grew up in the country. Like this kind of stuff to her is just whatever. And so she just starts throwing apples at it. And it was the funniest thing. I'm pushing my daughter in the swing, and she got one of the pink swings that you strap them into. And I'm pushing her, and I see my wife chuck an apple and say, oh, crap, and take off running because she done hit that thing. And then she went back out there when she put the ducks in, she went back out and sprayed it with a couple cans of spray. And so she's not afraid of that stuff. But I'm afraid of bees, and spiders don't bother me. She'll burn the house down for a spider. And so I take care of the spiders. She takes care of the bees. It's a happy marriage. Here you go. So that's been my weekend, but it was a good weekend. I got a lot of stuff done, got some brush hogging done and whatnot. And how's your weekend?
Oh man, been busy. But speaking of hornets, so when we were kids, me and my cousin were throwing pears at a hornet's nest in my papa's pear tree, and needless to say, we nailed it. And all that did was tick those hornets off, man. We go sprinting back to the house just in time to get in. Neither one of us got stung that day. But my cousin at school climbed a tree that he didn't know a hornet's nest was in. he got stung over 250 times and ended up in ICU for over a week. Like almost didn't
No,
live from it.
thank you.
And I'm like, I've gotten into some yellow jackets nest and wasp nest, and man, dude, I hate them. But hornets are
Yeah,
mean, dude, and they hurt when they sting. So
yeah. These
I'm
are
telling you, I would do what that guy said. Wait till nighttime, get a bag around that sucker, and then go put that in a burn barrel and burn them suckers, man. Kill them.
yeah. I don't know. It's kind of so I got attacked by hornet's nest. I didn't get stung that much, but a kid that I was with almost went to the ICU because of them. And then I got attacked by a ground yellow jacket nest once and got stung like 8 times. And then just over the years, so that was when I was young, and so I've always been traumatized by bees. Even to this day, I just don't like them. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. A couple guys I work with, they've come out to my property, having all the land and stuff. I got a shooting range out back, and they'll bring their arsenal guns and we'll shoot. And well, he's like, dude, I'll bring the AK-47 over and we'll shoot it. I'm like, dude, no. We're not gonna tick them off. It's just gonna make them mad. Like, he's like, oh, he's so awesome though. I said, yeah, and the AK is one of the hardest guns to shoot because it's loud and it knocks your earpiece off. I said, no, I'm not. So anywho, that's been the excitement here at the Corson household is a hornet's nest. So yeah, I don't want nothing to do with them. Just getting the GBs thinking about it, man.
No.
Oh, so I did see you sent me a picture and you talked on Instagram a little bit. You're getting some work done around the house, finally getting that finished up.
Yeah, man. I'm hoping by the end of August, all the stuff outside around my house is done and I can have my life back. I did actually, while the concrete was being poured, got a little bit of stuff done in the shop. We have a ping pong table. We always have the paddles and the balls in this box, and they're just annoying. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to make a paddle holder mount to the side and a ball holder to mount to. So made it all out of scrap wood. It's nothing fancy, but still cool to get in the shop. I couldn't do anything while they were pouring concrete, so I hired a crew because it was so many yards. If it was something
That's a
small,
ton.
yeah. But it's exciting to see some stuff getting done. So it's been a long time coming.
All I'm saying is, if I come out there, Colorado next year, I can play me some mean ping pong.
Oh, well, if the ping pong table's still here, I started back playing pool. I like playing both, but a few months ago, me and my wife went to the Livery Saloon here in Palisade to listen to a musician on our date night, and it was our first time going there, and they got 2 pool tables. Well, every Sunday afternoon, they have free pool, and so I started back that night. I was like, oh, I got to play a game of pool. I had not played in probably 20 years, but I used to have a table at my house, and dude, it just reignited. I go every week and play, and then I've met some people, and a friend has a table, but I think I'm gonna get rid of that ping pong table and get me a new pool table.
Yeah, dude, I had the last house we had in Tennessee. I think I told you this before. We had a what the heck is the really old housing pool table that was in the sunroom, gorgeous ornate carving on it and everything. And I gave it to a guy I worked with, and he paid some guys to come out and move it and get it set up in his house. But yeah, I think it was full size pool table, super nice, all leather pockets and stuff, and the whole 9 yards. And I grew up playing pool too. I mean, I enjoy it. I'm not as good as I played with some friends. Actually, one guy I went to high school with, he was Pennsylvania state champion pool player. That's just in the last couple of years.
Well, I'm not that good.
Yeah, he's one of those guys, like, he just looks at it and, does trigonometry in his head. I don't know. It's just insane.
It's just fun, man. I could play for hours. I played for about 5 hours yesterday.
Wow.
But, yeah. It's just fun. You go down there. There's kind of a group of people that go down there every Sunday afternoon, and we sit there, and I think I lost 2 games yesterday. I just was shooting well, got on the table, and I held the table for several hours, and I just kept playing. So it's yeah. And then there's days where I lose and stand over on the sidelines, but it's just fun,
absolutely.
man.
Very good. Well, before we get into the rest of the podcast, I want to say thank you to our patron supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to support us on Patreon, you can do so at patreon.com/Faith Talks Wood. We want to thank all you guys out there that do support us. And thank you to Surf Prep Sanding. They've partnered with us. And if you want to get some sanding equipment, go to surfprepsanding.com and use code FAITH at checkout. You get 10% off. And the podcast get a little kickback. And finally, pray for the podcast. As you guys know, Tom and I see this as a ministry, and we want to continue to do what the Lord has for us here on the podcast. So pray for us. But Tom, who do we have on the podcast this week?
And I've been looking forward to this episode for months, ever since we booked him. A while back, a piece of furniture popped up. Occasionally, Instagram will actually show me somebody's work that I want to see in the midst of all the other political ads. But I saw a piece of furniture, and then I had to click on his bio, saw he was in North Carolina near where I used to live, and went to his website, and there read the bio about him and his family. I was like, oh, man, we got to get this guy on. And anybody knows me, I love like mid-century modern furniture. I love Japanese style woodworking. And if I had to describe Cameron, I would say mid-century modern meet George Nakashima. And kind of those styles blended together, power tools, hand tools. Dude's got some skills. And so Cameron, Lockey, welcome. And it's actually Sturdy Bones Woodworking is the name of your Instagram and YouTube channel. But welcome to the podcast, man. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I appreciate the invitation to be on the show. I guess where do you want me to start?
Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you live, family, work, that type of stuff, and then how you became a Christian, how your relationship Jesus came to be, and what that looks like from the beginning up to now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so I have been operating Sturdy Bones Woodworking since 2021. My family moved to where we live now in Durham right before my son was born, and we've got a place out here and kind of in the country where basically my barn is. We were looking for places a place to move, and we happened to come out here one afternoon on a open house, and it had this barn on it, and I was like, babe, do you want to live here? She's like, yeah, do you want to live here? I was like, I want that barn. and the rest is history. We our plans for the rest of our lives are to live here, to raise our kids, and serve Durham via our church. My wife is Casey. We have Owen, who is 4, and Nora, Owen is almost 4, Nora is almost 2. Yeah, so Casey and I got married in 2020 in April. The pandemic just barely wrecked our entire wedding plans. We were engaged for 5 months, and then all this stuff about the coronavirus and everything started coming up, and our wedding day came and went, and we were like, this is dumb. I don't want to not be married for who knows, how extra long. Do you want to get married next week? And so we just threw together a wedding with the 10 people we were allowed to have in my brother-in-law's backyard and just went for it. So, yeah, that's kind of my family and where we live. Should I go into faith stuff, I guess?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so kind of who I am. I'm from Eastern North Carolina originally. That's where I was born and lived all the way through early adulthood. My parents are both firm believers. I feel like we're kind of one of these really odd families that the parents are still together and they've been believers, their whole lives, and have this legacy of faith. And all my grandparents, we're believers. And so that's kind of the culture that I was born into. My parents had helped plant the Southern Baptist Church that we were a part of throughout my youth. And my dad was a deacon and helped, served on discipleship training. And my mom was the minister of music. As Will and I were talking about before the show started, I started playing drums for the early service until we were a military church. So we were right next to Cherry Point Marine Corps Air Station in Havelock. And because we're a military church, people rotated through a lot. And the drummer that we had eventually moved on to a new location. And my mom was like, all right, you ready for this? You're 12 now. You can start playing drums for the main service. And so that was kind of like the culture I grew up in. And I was baptized as a believer at 7. My mom led me to Christ with the tract. I don't know if you guys remember this. There used to be this tract. It probably has a name, but I don't remember it. Where you talk about how, you're over here as a sinner and Jesus, and God is over here, and there's this big gap in between, and the cross of Christ like fills the gap. And that was like really like a powerful illustration for me as a 7-year-old kid. And I was like, man, I need to get across. I need God. I don't know how. I can't do it by myself. And that thought of like I can't do it by myself is it's like the hammer that the Lord keeps smacking me with throughout my life, right? Because even, here I am, 32 years later, and the Lord's still reminding me, dude, you can't do it by yourself, when you get saved that young and baptized, there's a lot of like, when you get older, like, for me, it was around 10 years later. I was about 17, 18 years old. A lot of like, did I really get saved? Am I really a Christian? Like that kind of self-doubt and re-examination. Do I need to get baptized again? Because when you're that young, you have no clue really, really, really what a sinner you are, right? You get older and you've done some stuff. You're more self-aware of the depth of your need for Christ and the reality of your sin. And, and so for me, the journey really picked up again when I'm 17, 18 years old. I'm dealing with sexual turmoil, sexual sin, right? And conviction over those kind of dark things, pornography use, like stuff like that. And then when I get to college, I didn't go away to university until I was 21. I went to University of North Carolina, Wilmington, after a couple of years at community college. And I get there and I'm free and unsupervised, for the first time in my life. And I remember having this moment where I was like, all right, like, what kind of person are you going to be? Is the faith that you grew up with going to be your faith? Or is it going to be just this thing that your parents kind of imposed on you? And for whatever reason, I just had this distinct memory of reading the book of Ecclesiastes. And for whatever reason, that feeling like the ethos and the message of the book of Ecclesiastes, just feeling like this is real life. This is a guy, Solomon was this man who had tried everything. Right. And maybe he goes before me as like an example. Like he tried all the stuff that I'm tempted to try, and he's demonstrates how it didn't really go well. Right. And how it was empty, and that there's just more fullness in doing the things that doing life the way that God made life to work, right? And for whatever reason, like that, I was in the summer too. I was like, it was weird. Like I was in a dorm and there was 7 people in the whole building, and I'm like there taking summer classes, like being away from home for the first time. And so it was a lot of like a lone reflection time. But God used that, I think, to just send me on this path to where instead of staying up, I don't know, going to parties or whatever, I was getting up at 7 a.m. before classes and going and spending 2 hours in the Word, journaling through the book of John and whatever. And then from that point, really that kind of pivotal, like, what are you going to do moment in my faith, I started to get active in, the student organizations, student faith organizations. I didn't want to land in the like just parachurch thing because I grew up Southern Baptist. And so we're all about like church participation, church autonomy, that kind of thing. And so I anchored myself with actually a local church there that we happened to have some ties with the pastor's family. He had previously been at a church that I was a part of. And I go to this church and I'm visiting. It's a local Baptist church. And I'm like, where are all the college students? My friend's name is Corey. I'm like, Corey, where are all the college students? He's like, dude, the college pastor just left the church to plant his own church, and all of the college students went with him. And I was like, okay, so you're telling me there's no college? There's like 4. And the university I was going to was like half a mile away. I was like, there's no reason we can't get college students to come, be with us in this church. So we started a small group, and, by the time I graduated, it was like, slow growing, but we finally got to where we had 30 something people come into a small group like every week, participating in the life of the church, not just kind of that unit. And I was leading Bible studies, and that really, along with like listening to, I don't know how many sermons from John Piper and Matt Chandler and at the time Mark Driscoll before the great undoing, let's say. But even guys like him, man, like really influential Bible teachers, and yes, character matters, but when you're a good teacher, you're a good teacher. And he taught a lot of truth. And that actually led me to so I was a film major in college. And toward the end of my college career, I started looking at real careers and going like, what am I going to do with my life? And I tell this story about this documentary that they showed us, and I'm kind of glad that they showed it to us, but I don't really know why, because it didn't really serve the school program very well. It was this documentary about how all these filmmakers, how their work and their life is so hard. They're always traveling. Their families are suffering. They're getting divorced. They drink too much. Their kids don't know them. And I was like, this sounds awful. This sounds like not the life that I want. I want to get married. I want to have kids. I want to have a stable life. And so that left me at the end of my college career going, what am I going to do for work? I'm not like, I wanted to be an animator. So like, I wanted to go like work at Pixar ever since I was like 10. Toy Story probably still is my favorite movie. How to Train Your Dragon is a very close second. But I was like, I'm going to go work at DreamWorks or Pixar or something. And then all the stuff in this documentary were like, I slept for 2 weeks under my desk. I never went home. They work us so hard. And I was like, I don't think I can do this. I can't sleep under my desk. And that led me to another searching phase, which I started asking questions about ministry. And I ended up actually going and spending 2 years at Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary up here in Wake Forest, which is what got me to this area. I did that for 2 years. It was really cool. My younger brother was also interested in ministry. He was doing the college program there. Got to be roommates with him. Super fun. And then he got engaged and left me. And I started looking at my program going like, how long is this MDiv? Like I'm talking to my guidance counselor, how long is how much longer do I have? She's like, well, looking at your credits, you could probably wrap it up in 3 years. I was like, 3 years? I've already been in college for 5.5 years. I'm in grad school. I just did 2 more years. So now we're at 7.5 years. I got 3 more. And I was like, I don't think I can do it. and I started praying a lot about it and going, Lord, if this is really what you want, I'll do it. But I kind of want to just be a dude with a job for a while. Is that cool? Like, can I just be a dude that loves Jesus and has a job and isn't in school? And he opened the door for that, because I basically was like, I think I'm going to take a semester off and try to get a job. I had a job 3 weeks later. Right. And that's been my experience of the way the Lord works. Right. When he's moving, stuff happens and you don't have any ability to take credit for it. And so I had that job that kickstarted a software engineering career. I had a background in web development, and that just opened the door for 15 years of software engineering. I feel like I've been talking a very long time.
Oh,
no, you're good.
At this point.
I love it. So, so you grew up Southern Baptist, and then the church that you went to in college was also a Southern Baptist church.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what are you guys a part of nowadays?
Now I'm a Presbyterian.
You're a Presby? Really?
Believe it or not, yeah. So mainly, I married Casey, and Casey was not. I would say Casey's not like strictly like theologically like I have to be a Presbyterian. I don't think she was before. I think in her earlier life she was Baptist and non-denominational at one point. But mainly this particular church that we're a part of, Christ Central Church in Durham, attracted her specifically. And so when I was part of a great Baptist church, Imago Dei Church in Raleigh, and basically when we decided to get married, I was like, look, I'm not going to ask you to leave your Christian community to come to mine. The denomination thing is less important than your spiritual well-being. So it's not a conversation. We're going to your church. She wanted to live in Durham anyway, so it just made sense. And I love our church. We have such great pastors. Do I have some questions and I don't know, uncertainties about the infant baptism thing? Yeah, but I also did get my kids baptized because it's the same thing as dedicating them in the Southern Baptist Church.
Right. So Presbyterian PCA.
PCA.
It's a PCA. It's not PCA USA. It's
correct.
PCA.
PCA.
Right. So you guys are the pretty heavily reformed, Bible, strict, expository. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. So you're probably not playing drums in church.
No, we have drums. I'm just
really?
I just have 2 little kids and no
I understand that.
free time.
Yeah. That's funny. So I wouldn't have thought a Presby church would have drums, but again, that might be just ignorance on my part.
Our church is so interesting because we're in the middle of Durham, and Durham is just is I don't know how to say this the most politically correct way. It's not just a place where white people live, and so the passion of our church is to always reflect the city as best as we possibly can, which means we're drawing from everyone who's a part of our church and their flavors and their perspectives and preferences, and it's beautiful. You look around a church and you're like, man, this is what heaven's gonna look like. Right.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Very good. So you didn't finish your MDiv. MDiv's hard, man.
Bro. People are like, oh yeah, the languages. I'm like, dude, languages were fine. Like, I mean, they were hard. I took 3 semesters of Hebrew and I could not tell you very much Hebrew. Tohu wabohu. Formless and void. That's about what I remember.
Yod he vad he, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. But it's just the length of the program. Like I was loving everything. Like from an academic perspective, it was so much more rewarding than all the things that I had studied, because like the stuff that I studied, graphic design, filmmaking, and technical stuff, like it it didn't require much academic rigor, I guess. It was much more practical. And so like going to my first semester at the seminary, and they're like, you're going to read 100 pages a day, and all your assignments are going to be 15-page long papers with Turabian annotation. I was like, what is this? It's like, here's this giant manual. Just do it exactly the way this says, or you're going to lose points.
Oh man, yeah,
it was tough.
Crazy stuff, man. And so I gotta pull on the drum thread a little bit. So you've been playing drums. Do you play any more? Any bands? What have you done with that?
Yeah, so I played in rock/punk rock bands throughout my like teenage years. I was not in drums though. I played guitar and was the like frontman singer. And that probably wrapped up around when I was like 20, 21, something like that. I got back into playing drums for church. I guess while I was playing drums at church a little bit while I was in college. And then when I moved up to this area in Raleigh, I was going to the Summit Church. If you're familiar with the Summit Church, JD Greer's the pastor.
Oh yeah.
And so it was a lot smaller than, but I got on board playing at the campus that I was a part of, and eventually they like to share musicians around. So eventually I was kind of playing as like a filler drummer for all the different campuses. But yeah, I miss it. I miss it a lot. I learned how to play with a click.
Yeah.
Like at Summit. There's a guy, do you know Matt Papa?
Mm-hmm.
Y'all heard of him?
Yeah.
He was one of the music leaders there at the North Raleigh campus when we were like launching it. And I remember like he gave it to me real hard. He would just turn around, he would stop everything while we're rehearsing. He'd be like, Cam, I want you to hit those drums really hard, and you got to stay on that click. And I guess because it was coming from him, I was like, I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to learn how to not rush, to stay right on. I'm going to understand my role as like the center, the foundation of the beat. Learn how to play with the bass player.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Some syncopated stuff. Yeah. We when we moved to Tennessee, I'd never played with a click or tracks or nothing in my life. And then we started going to a mega church, if you will, and I auditioned to play, and I made the team, but I took like 6 months to learn how to play with a click. It was one of those things I'd never done before. Yeah. And then tracks, if you play with tracks, you got the lady in your head, verse 2, 3, you go in and stuff. And then I was kind of the same thing. I was a drummer that drummed. We had 4 campuses, and I would drum all around all 4 campuses. And so, yeah, and it's crazy too in the Nashville area, playing with the top musicians in the world.
I bet that's cool.
Kelsey Ballerini's guitar player, Brantley Gilbert's bass player. I mean, all these different guys that are just like top notch, but they're there to worship. Mm-hmm. And so it was a whole thing. Like the pastor Kyle, the worship pastor, like you didn't audition because you were somebody. You auditioned because you wanted to serve and worship and lead the congregation. And so he was really strict on that. But yeah, man, that's awesome. It's definitely. I still play at our church now. I play a couple times a month, and it's fun. I enjoy. We're not using click tracks here, so it's kind of fun to get back to my roots of not doing any of that stuff.
Yeah,
but,
playing on vibes.
Right, exactly. Yeah, no, that's exactly it. I've got a Roland V drum kit here at home, and so I can, I play on that. And I have a 5-year-old boy and a 2-year-old girl, and they both are interested in music and stuff, and so. Yeah, I've been setting my boy on the drum set since he was 6 months old.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It's amazing how you can teach your kids when you're musically inclined. You can teach your kids to sing from like a really, really young age. Right. My daughter's not quite 2, and she doesn't really speak a lot of words really clearly. But I picked her up earlier today, and she was singing ABC song, hitting all the pitches, right? ABC or Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Right.
And I was like, dude, she's singing. This is you can't call that anything other than singing. And she's not even 2 yet.
Yeah, my kids are the same way. Brandon Lake in the truck, man, they be singing out some, Brandon Lake and whatnot. So
Yeah.
it warms my heart. So tell us about woodworking. So you're a film guy, a musician, drummer, went back to school for MDiv. Didn't you've kind of had. How did woodworking play in? Software developer, like how'd this play in?
Yeah. I feel like the general impression that people get of me when they first meet me is that I must get bored really easy or something, because I just like do all this stuff.
Same way.
I have a wide, I guess, set of interests. So the way woodworking came about is I bought my first house while I was single in 2016. I didn't really have to do anything to it, but because I basically moved in using every possible penny that I had to make a down payment, I didn't really have furniture. And so I made a bunch of the, like, I guess we call it farm style, like 2x4s from Home Depot, 2x12s for the top, get a pocket hole jig, slam that thing together with, a circular saw and a drill. And that's what I did. I made end tables. I made a coffee table. I made a dining table. I still use the dining table. It's literally my same dining table that I have today. I have the skills to replace it, but I refuse to, because my son still slams his fork into it every meal. And I'm not doing that with, a walnut dining table that I could sell for $6,000, like
my wife and I had the same conversation. We've got this cheap dining set,
yeah,
and it's beat to crap by my kids. I got a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, and my plan was to replace the top with a hickory top. And
not a bad wood choice if you're gonna
it'll take the beating. But I told my wife, I says, until they're respectful of stuff, that's like it was funny when we bought the living room set that we have. It was when my wife was pregnant with my son. And I don't know if it's wisdom or what, we were like, let's not buy the nicest stuff.
Yeah.
Because back then we could afford nicer stuff with 2 incomes and all this stuff. And so we bought like kind of mid-grade, and it's gotten beat to crap, and we don't care. Like it's, and so I'll rebuild the dining table and that kind of stuff when the kids. I'm right with you. I'm not going to build. It's nice.
Yeah, I did build the living room furniture that we have. Oh, the other one that I have that's still 2x4s, 2x6s is my TV stand, and I have all these plans for that one. I can replace because it doesn't get nearly as much abuse. I just have to have the time for it. But the other living room pieces I built as prototypes for a kind of a line of spec furniture that I was going to make. So I was like, well, I'll just make the first ones about this, with this other wood that I have, and it's the same design. And like they've taken a beating. Like the amount of water that's just been like spilled on it and left because we didn't know that they spilt it is, Osmo's good, but it's not that good. They're going to need to be sanded and rehabilitated at some point.
Yeah, that's why you got to use Willie's wood finish, is all I'm saying.
Well, I just learned about Willie's wood finish, and I was like, oh man, this dude makes his own hard wax oil. That's pretty sweet.
Kind of like you. You can ask Tom too. I got all these different hobbies, and I've got guns and knives, and I'm a drummer. I can play guitar. Woodworking. I like working on vehicles. I building stuff, whatever. I just like working with my hands. And, I sit behind a desk in a corporate environment all day, and as Drew Witt says, those who work with their mind rest with their hands. And so I just like learning new things and whatnot. And so I got into Bible rebinding. I do some of that. So anyways, but yeah, lots of hobbies as well.
Yeah. And, I didn't know at the time when I was getting into like, I'm going to make my own furniture. I made a bed. I went to one of there used to be a reclaimed wood place where you could like go, and they didn't have any new wood. They just had a bunch of barn wood that they had ripped off of things. I think it was like a nonprofit or something like that, and bought a bunch of wood for cheap, built my bed same way, just circular saw and a pocket hole jig. and that was like really, really, really interesting. But I was like, man, to get into this, really, I would have to have a lot of money. Well, fast forward a couple of years, I realized that I could like sell my house and make a profit on it, basically, just because Raleigh was expanding really fast, and my house was right outside downtown. I was like, all right, I can like get out of here. No one would come and visit me because all my friends were North Raleigh people, and I was living like way far away. So I was like, okay, I'll move to North Raleigh. So I found this house. It was a beater. This poor guy had lived the final years of his life there, apparently, and everything had kind of like really just fallen to pieces. I was looking around the neighborhood, and it's like, this house, and the one that was for sale was like $100,000 less than the ones next to it. And I was like, okay, I can do this. And so I bought it. I moved in, and I remember the first night being like, what have I done? This place is such a dump. And I mean, there was like literally a 1-inch diameter pine tree growing out of the gutter. There was shiny, glossy red paint everywhere. There was giant. It looked like someone had like murdered someone like on the carpet. I don't know how they got that bad of carpet stains on there, but I just started gutting it. I literally pulled everything out of every room. I fixed up one room first so that I could have one little place of like tidy solace and go watch TV on a night that I didn't want to work. But pretty much for 7 months, I basically worked 16-hour days, working my full-time job as a software engineer, and then coming home and working until midnight or 1 on the house. And halfway through that process, basically 7 months after I started, I decided that I was ready to think about trying to get back on dating apps and try dating someone. I won't get into that long story, but I had a previous relationship that was like, all right, I need to just stop dating for a while. So this was my like in between times. And no kidding, the one night that I decided I'm going to keep the app on my phone and not tell myself I'm never going to date again, I got a message from Casey, and we've been best friends and talking ever since, and marrying and making kids and stuff.
That's incredible. So you obviously no longer make 2x4 farmhouse furniture. You make absolutely some of the most beautiful furniture I have seen on YouTube.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
You and Chris Schoenberg are right up there. If you don't know who Third Coast Craftsman is, Chris Schoenberg, but he's also power tool, hand tool guy. But so where did your style come from? Because I wasn't joking when I said, some of your stuff has that modern feel and some of it has that Japanese feel. So how did you get into that style of design and develop your skills? Because nothing you're making now is out of 2x4s. It's okay. Go ahead and burp, man, or hiccup.
It's just aspirated a little bit of water. So yeah, that's a great question. So pretty much once I moved into my current place and was like, all right, woodworking is something I'm going to pursue. I basically just started really just like watching a ton of YouTube. Mm-hmm. I got really into just Forest Furniture, Sean Boyd. Who are my other really big influences? Definitely Third Coast Craftsman. A lot of the stuff that I watched on YouTube like early on was like a lot of like how to woodwork, how to do things, technique, tools. What do you need versus what do you not need? All that stuff. Bourbon Moth. Watched a lot of those guys. My biggest influence for sure is Chris Salamone and Sean Boyd.
Yep.
In terms of style. But I also discovered George Nakashima's work, and just I really liked the way that he would like interlock joints
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be just half laps, right? Where if you looked really close, you could see the edge of the one part of the joint and the other edge. He would actually he would cut the half lap narrower and then like it was like a half lap / bridle kind of, if that makes sense, to where when they actually came together, the overlap made the joint like seamless. And I was like, that is so cool. And I started like fiddling around with trying it. And the way that I fiddle around with trying it is I made a 12-foot long conference table using that stuff in the base. People that watch my channel and they know that what I don't know, have this propensity to do is that just like throw myself into the deep end. I'm not very good at easing into things. So if I start studying something, I get excited about it. Why do 20 different test pieces, right? Do one maybe, and then just like go for it, figure it out on the fly. And that's basically what I did with that table. My I guess first really successful YouTube video was that conference table video. I didn't even decide to make a video about it until I was halfway through with it. So the video actually begins with me making the base that I think you're talking about, of that like the Nakashima inspired base. So there's no footage of me like actually making those joints. It's just me dry fitting it together before doing the glue up. And then the story that I came up with for the table was the fact that I had this giant multiple slabs like joined together at another person's shop who they have like a wood whiz so they could flatten it for me. And he calls me, he's like, hey, we got one side flat. If we flatten the other side, it's going to be really thin. Or do you want us to do that or just leave it? And he sent me pictures of it. And I was like, I don't want it to be that thin. So what do I do? And I was like, I got it. Just leave it. And it was all jagged, and you could see the edges of the slabs between them. And it was like, I can fix this. And I basically power carved the bottom of it. I was like, it's gonna be a big investment, but it's a big thing to do, and YouTube will love it. And they did. And so since that was successful, one of the things you do on YouTube is you take positive signals and you try to run with them. And so I was like, I want to learn more about George Nakashima's work, and also experiment more with this form factor. And I realized that there really were not that many YouTube channels leaning into it very much, because you can't claim it as your own style. You always have to kind of tip the hat to George Nakashima and his work and say this was inspired. But I was trying to find a way to say, yes, it was inspired, but like I kind of want to join the ranks of people that are expanding on that. And so I think you probably also saw the Wenge table and the Wenge side tables. They were actually all three were for the same client. And my goal for those was to try to come up with a way to use those types of joints, but also remove the numbers of 90-degree angles and see if I could just get it to work. And I think for the side tables, it does. And I think there really aren't any 90-degree angles on the bases of those tables.
Yeah, it's absolutely beautiful. Beautiful work. But
Thank you.
The other thing I'll say about your YouTube channel, you are a fantastic storyteller. Like,
oh man, I appreciate that.
Job,
I agonize over it so much.
You really do. It's phenomenal. But honestly, like of all of yours, and I'm gonna go on here and say, yeah, that you called it the no epoxy table, where you did that inlay or kind of made it look like a river, but I think you used curly maple inside. But yeah, you come up with some creative stuff though. Very unique.
Thank you. Yeah, I turned that thing into my key ring in my house. I was like, it's too narrow to be a charcuterie board, but put some of those little hooks in the bottom.
Yeah.
Now it's my key ring.
That's pretty cool.
Or key hook.
Yeah. And so
I
before the show we were talking, I was like, it's been a while since you had a video out, but you said that you're been working on a room. You're getting ready to put another one out here soon.
Mhm.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I really I didn't intend to have such a long gap between my last video and this one. I had posted 2 videos since the shoe Crenza, which I think is one of the ones that you saw that was like the shoe cabinet with this kind of mid-century looking legs. The one video was kind of a fluke. It wasn't a very good video. It was off format. It was of a essentially the complementary coat rack to go above the shoe thing, and it ended up just kind of not being the right for my channel, so I took it down. I might re-edit it and do a voiceover, which is kind of my standard format. And then I posted this other one that's like a kind of a compilation type video.
Yeah.
And neither of those have really performed the way that I've thought. So that tells me I'm not really addressing what my audience is really looking for from the channel.
Well, I could tell you why that one didn't do well, because it's 2.5 hours long.
It's 2.5 hours long.
I think that, like, honestly, when I look for a video, I'm typically watching a video while I'm cooking breakfast. So I want something that's somewhere in 15 to 30 minutes long. And I don't want to watch a bunch of little 3-minute, 5-minute, unless it's like what the game highlights are or something.
Right.
But I would say this, the length of it, because not too many people have 2.5 hours sit down. I watched it in about probably 10 segments, where I watched a little here and a little there.
Yeah. But the goal for that, of like putting it together that way, was to put something out there for people that have never discovered the channel before.
Yeah.
Because a lot of those are actually older projects that I have separate videos, of. I actually found one of my favorite YouTubers, Jesper Makes.
Jesper Makes.
His name's Jesper. He's from Denmark. And his channel is incredible. You want to talk about a good storyteller, that's the guy that I look up to.
Okay.
I study his work to try to understand how he brings you through the different elements of the story. But I think it's still his most successful video, is a 2.5 hour sort of compilation video.
Really? Wow.
And so that was my and he knew that I was doing that. He was coaching me through it a little bit, figuring out how to string these things together and weave a narrative throughout this extended video. But you're right, it is, for YouTube, it is a risk to put out a video that long. For that matter, even the Shukrinza didn't pull the views that some of my other videos have, because it was 40 minutes long, I think. Yeah. So that was a lesson that I learned just from a YouTubing perspective. But you asked about my kind of recent project. So it wasn't an intended pull away hiatus from YouTube. But in end of February, early March, I started a project that I've really been wanting to do for a long time, which is my office has been in the top of the stairwell in my house, 3-bedroom house, in between my kids' rooms for since we moved in. So no privacy, kids screaming at you from the bottom of the stairs. You're trying to work, but your kids know that you're in the house, and you have to try to explain to them that you can't pay attention to them. And so I've really been wanting an office, someplace where I can go to work and not be in the house while I'm trying to work. So I have a barn. My barn has a second floor in the middle, and it's just been this kind of junky storage area. So I was like, this is a pretty cool story, because I'm gonna office remodel videos have been pretty successful. I'm gonna take that to an extreme and completely build out this space, almost like a residential build. Everything: framing, insulation, subfloor, flooring, paint, trim, everything. And also build a couple pieces of furniture for it. And so it's been, when I first did my initial log all my footage and everything from this. I had 578 shots, and when I just did my selections of like potential shots out of that footage, I had a 4.5 hour long timeline. The runtime of it is currently 23 minutes. So,
Wow.
so I think I hit your 15 to 30 minute window.
Well, I do watch longer videos, but like
And it's,
that's just typically what I'm looking for.
but that process is, it is, you're like talking about storytelling. It's all about trying to figure out what is the story that I'm trying to tell. Everything else doesn't need to be in there. Right.
Yeah.
And you have to figure out like how to not dwell too long on one part or another, how to keep the pace, going, how to lead people into the next segment, and then how to sprinkle through. I like to have kind of two like narrative lines, two parallel narratives. One is the main narrative of the thing that I'm making, and the other is like this other thought process that I have that I'm bringing you along, my journey through this other, line of thinking that I'm going through. And that's usually a good way to kind of be able to bounce back and forth and maintain interest.
Yeah. Your videos do keep you engaged. Very much like Sean Boyd. Like you can't turn off his video. I can.
Yeah.
I love watching his. And,
at midnight last night, I watched a shoe credenza one. So
did you? Thank you.
Yeah, I was just like, oh yeah, and I was drank my coffee at 6:30, and I couldn't fall asleep, and so I watched the whole thing. So 40 minutes didn't faze me last night.
Ironic thing that shoe credenza, when you had Lem's shoes, and so I have been wearing Lem's now for.
Yeah, they're based in Boulder.
Oh, yeah. For about 5 years now.
Yeah.
And the reason I wear them is not because I think the company is great and their shoes are just super magnificent, but they have a wide toe box and I have really wide feet. And, dude, I cannot go without a pair of Boulder boots. Like, that's what I wear all the time.
Okay.
I love it. And then in the summertime, I have some of their other shoes as well. But yeah, they and that popped out to me because I'm like, dude, he's got Lem stickers on his. I was like, and he's in North Carolina. But my wife's sister used to live outside of Denver in Littleton, and she's the one that originally introduced me to. And I was buying them when I lived in North Carolina, but now, yeah, man, every time they have a 20% off sale, I'm getting me a new pair. I love them.
It's all I wear now. My wife for my birthday last year got me the Summit boots. Yeah. And that's like all I wear in the winter. Same thing. I actually basically like wear the current pair out. Yep. And then like
my old pair goes
casual
outside.
Use. Yeah. And then the old pair becomes my shop shoes.
Yep.
Because I basically now that's all I wear is limbs.
Yep. Me too.
Limbs and rainbows.
Yeah. My new favorite limbs is the slip-on chukkas.
Oh, I haven't tried those.
Yeah, and that because my shop is attached to my house, and so often I just want to. I think they're called chukkas, like CHUKKA. But yeah, the Boulder boots, man, I cannot wear anything else. They're so comfortable.
They're amazing.
They are.
They're so good. I reached out to them a while back and I was like, can I please be an affiliate? I don't want to talk about any other shoes than Lim. And they were like, yeah. And they like sent me some shoes. So that's actually part of the reason I did that is because they brought me on board as an affiliate. And
that's cool.
They're really, really great people, really great shoes.
Yeah, they are. So very cool.
So I like my Crocs a lot. You guys are talking. What's funny is, not recently, but over my life, I've always been known as a shoe guy. I mean, I've had Jordans, and now I'm a boot guy, Ariats, and that kind of stuff. But I work in a corporate world, and so I wear Cole Haans to work.
Oh yeah.
So
I got some Cole Haans. They're great shoes.
Oh, they're
you wear
super
like the
comfortable.
wingtips?
The wingtip,
like dress shoes?
Oh yeah. I've got the handmade ones, the collector series, and I've got like the
Nice.
casual looking ones and all this stuff. But that's pretty awesome. So you're working on. So I guess in the shop now, you're working on this video. Finish this out. You got any woodworking projects in the shop you're working on?
I do, yeah. So my two projects right now are they're not video related. They're just commissions. I just wrapped up an 8-foot quarter sawn white oak table for an interior designer, and then kind of same batch, like same contract. I'm making I guess it's a 10-foot by 5.5-foot wide poplar tabletop.
Poplar.
And I see your eyes getting big. Well, so sometimes you get clients that come to you and they're like, all right, we want this beautiful walnut table. Look at this picture. This is our inspiration.
$500.
And you're like, well, just the materials on that, if you want that slab in that picture, is going to be $5,500, right? Not any labor put into it, no epoxy, no woodworking, just getting the wood on my property. And they're like, well, we just want it to look like walnut. And so you're like, okay, so what if I'm just like developing like a dyeing technique to make it look like walnut. So I'm using trans-tint dyes on poplar, beautiful poplar slabs. It's almost like a shame to cover it up. I actually have a shout out in my video to poplar because I used poplar for some bookshelves that I built for myself. Poplar, I think gets needs more credit than it gets because it's soft or something like that, or because it has green in it. Dude, poplar's pretty cool wood. It's pretty cheap.
Yep,
that's how I feel about the new living.
Looks kind of like
easy to work with.
Bibles.
Yeah, like it looks kind of like maple. It actually takes stains like pretty well.
Yeah.
Right.
So
the funny thing is, I was listening to a podcast, and I'm not going to name the podcast, and on it, the guy said, poplar is horrible to stain. It doesn't take stain. It's like, do you know how many things I built out of poplar and stained them? And I think all my cabinets, my face frames and my doors are all poplar.
Yeah.
And they're all stained.
Yeah.
Because same thing. I couldn't afford to do all my cabinets out of walnut.
Right.
So,
right.
But
yeah, and if you can embrace the green colors in it, like will turn brownish over time.
Right.
And like these shelves, I just finished it. They look like maple, man. So everyone, if you're out there listening, don't hate on the poplar, okay? Go get you some, sand it up real high. It's kind of nice.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about the New Living Translation, the NLT. You guys hating on it, but I'm telling you what, you want
to. Well, actually, that for me at least, that's a great comparison because every once in a while, like I'm an ESV guy. Yeah, every once in a while, you just need to hear the familiar verses in a different voice, and the New Living Translation has that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? Sometimes it's got that unique angle.
Yeah,
I'm
an ESV
just like
guy.
poplar.
Yeah, but
just like poplar.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that's a great that's a worthy analogy in a video someday.
It's an easy read. I was wrong. The Chuckas are the other one. The Drifters are the new ones I got that are just like slip-ons.
Yeah,
they're so comfortable. But
I'm looking at their stuff on their website. I think I could wear me some of these the quartz.
And I love my primals.
Primals are nice too. We're talking about shoes now on a podcast. There we go.
Yeah.
I like it. Drifter. Oh yeah, Drifter. It's just kind of like Hey Dudes.
It's just like they're way more comfortable than Hey Dudes. The thing about Hey Dudes, like my brother gave me a pair of them. That's all my brother wears, but they're just like that cushiony little.
There's no support.
None, and they wear out. The drifters, they've got a cork bottom just like inside the boulder boots do. And man, they're so comfortable, dude. I love these things.
Nice.
Hey, we're gonna have to tell Limbs they say to send a sponsorship. We're on here.
You're right. That's what I'm saying. Send me some.
They seem to be about the affiliate marketing and not about the sponsorship. Because I was trying to pull kind of hard for it.
Wait, and I could tell you that the values of their company don't align with our podcast.
Maybe so. But man, they're good at shoes.
And I wear them. I love them. So, but
That's
man.
Funny.
So yeah, are you finished with your office now? You just doing the filming process?
I am. No, I'm all done with it. I'm literally a couple days away from having the video done. And yeah, I'm in the office right now. It's been wonderful. I've got air conditioning.
Oh.
It's just life-changing. And to be able to like have my computer and everything like upstairs, and then I'm working downstairs. If I need to run up for something or a call or whatever, like I can just pop up here. I've got so much insulation around me. I talk about the insulation in the video. Like I have an employee, his name's Tim. He's like downstairs sanding and using the planer earlier today. And I'm on a call up here, like not a problem at all.
That's awesome.
So,
wow.
And so the office is all done. The video is almost done. I've got kind of a lot of like paid woodworking stuff to do and some pretty nice pieces to build for a couple that's building a home. They want me to do some built-in cabinets and a couple of other things. But when I get beyond that, I've got like some really fun things that I've really been thinking hard about doing. I'm a big board gamer. I've got a community of people around me that are actually bigger like collectors in particular than I am. I used to be on a board game podcast called Hidden Gems. And so board gaming and D&D has been like a big part of my gaming life, I guess, like probably throughout my adulthood. I'm going to take on building a gaming table.
So that's on my list.
That's going to be one of my next videos. I've got a design for it. I'm happy with it. It doesn't lend itself to like mass production, but I think will be a good representation of what I could do at a custom level. Yeah. So my hope is that I can, if it turns out well for me, it's going to go in the office. There's a big room outside of this room that I'm in. It'll go in there, and we're going to make some other like gaming related small items. Like, I don't know if do you guys have any experience with Dungeons and Dragons or RPGs, tabletop games?
No, I worked with a guy who was into 40K.
Okay. Yeah.
And he had 3D printers, like the resin ones.
Yeah.
And then he was really, really artistic, and guys would pay him to paint these things.
To paint them, yeah.
Oh my gosh. And the stuff he would do would look so realistic. He'd bring them into work, and he had them like in his office. He had little figurines that he had painted and stuff around. And it was just like mind blowing. I never played any of it, but I was exposed to it that way. And I just thought that was pretty cool.
I played Warhammer 40K for about 12 minutes at a conference or a convention. We took the podcast guys to a convention once, and we they do these like, I guess you would call them demos. They're like, you sign up for this thing, and they're like, all right, we're going to teach you how to play this game. And it's like 2.5 hours long. And this dude got like 15 minutes into explaining it. I was like, dude, you're doing such a good job. Thank you so much. I don't think this is the game for me. And we rolled out on them because we were like, I can't do 2.5 hours of this. D&D is a lot different. And it's more of like, I call it collaborative storytelling. So if you haven't tried it and someone offers you like, hey, you want to play D&D with us? I would say yes at least once. It's fun. It's not nearly, it doesn't have to be as weird and like, I don't know. My dad was always like, it's very demonic and there's spells and demons and stuff. So it's not okay for a Christian. I was like, well, when I was like in my 20s, I was like, I'm going to try this. I was like, okay, you can be a Christian and play D&D. It's just collaborative storytelling. It's actually like kind of a lot of fun. Great way to kind of be creative and it's almost like improv.
Right?
You ever tried improv?
No.
I like listening to it.
Okay. Yeah. The big rule is just yes and, and so you can just like, and you're playing D&D, you can just like do whatever you want. Well, that's one of the things I would love to kind of get back to, and this whole idea of like making a board game table, making some D&D related wooden objects. So today's Monday. On Wednesday, I'm getting a Shaper Origin. It's arriving. My beloved wife finally gave her consent for me to invest. I'm going to say invest in a Shaper Origin.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of like just brimming with ideas of how this thing is going to change my life.
Yeah.
I don't have anything that like I currently, all my work I make on the traditional like template way of like printing pieces of paper or drawing it out and then like rough cutting it and sanding it on the spindle sander, and that's how I make my templates, and that takes a lot of time and effort, and if you don't get it exactly right, I think there's even in one of my videos I like put masking tape on it because I like it wasn't smooth enough or something like that. So I think this is going to really change my life in terms of just being able to design stuff. I'm pretty good with digital art and SVGs and all that kind of stuff. So making the data files to like, be able to cut it out with a router is just going to be amazing. And I've got a colleague that will cut stuff out for me on his CNC, but anytime you're introducing like a 40-minute round trip plus the time it takes to cut something out on someone else's CNC, it's like a pretty disruptive to your workflow. So having to depend on someone that has a tool that you don't isn't always like the best.
I'm going to tell you, I tried out the Shaper Origin at AWFS, and I would love to have one, dude. That you know how easy it is to do joinery with that thing, and like the other thing, like you ever install sauce hinges? Like, dude, you could drill out the. You know what I'm talking about? I love sauce hinges.
I just ordered some. I'm going to try them out for the first time.
Oh, they've got all of them already. The templates are in there. You don't even have to create it. Yeah. Okay. Pop it up there.
Amazing.
Literally, I'm perfect fit in a matter of a minute. It is phenomenal. And how they came up with that whole concept is just, it's mind-boggling. But that's honestly, if I had the money to blow, I would get one for that purpose, because you can do all kind of cool stuff. And they've got the that one jig that allows you to hold it off the edge of your table. You can do dovetails with it, and oh man, it's
I bought that with my like package or whatever. The website makes it really easy to order everything if you want. But I really had to go through and scrutinize, like, all right, what do I like really need? What will I really actually put to use and not get any of this? So like I wanted the bench pilot, but I don't know how I will use the bench pilot because I don't know how I'm going to use the shaper, on like a day-to-day basis. And so it was like, well, apart from, I think it's like a $75 discount that you would lose by just buying it by itself. Like it's worth not getting it right now and maybe getting it later if it makes sense to. So I'm excited. I've already like told Casey, like, look, when my thing gets here on Wednesday, I'm not really working on Wednesday. I'm learning. I'm learning on Wednesday. I'm learning how to use this thing, and so I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, man, it has been fantastic having you on here, dude. I've really enjoyed your talent. So tell everybody where they can find you. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all that.
Absolutely, yeah. So the YouTube channel is just at Sturdy Bones Woodworking, or you can just search Sturdy Bones Woodworking on YouTube. Instagram, Sturdy Bones Woodworking, and my website is sturdyboneswoodworking.com.
Okay.
So where'd that come from? Quick story. What's Sturdy Bones?
Yeah. So Sturdy Bones, the idea came up from just my shop. I was like thinking about starting a woodworking business, and my home was built in 1891. And I was like, I don't have there's literally a placard on my front porch. It's like 1891. I don't know for sure if that's how old this barn is, but it's pretty old. And like, if you look at the studs and the framing from the inside, you can see it's true 2-inch by true 4-inch, like rough sawn lumber. And I was like, man, it's kind of a dump, but it's got sturdy bones.
There you go.
And I think it was, the phrase I think that people go to was like, it's good bones, but I was like, sturdy is a good
right.
a good word.
Like it.
How big is your barn?
So, man, I don't know what the actual length of it, because one end of it is just like a lean-to. It's just open, covered over dirt. I think the big room is like 400 square feet, and then the smaller room is like 250, something like that. So it's including this space upstairs with the office is probably close to 1,000 square feet.
Okay, very good. You guys have land and stuff then too?
It's our property is like close to 2 acres.
Okay.
So
it must have been the original homestead of that area or something.
It's interesting. Yeah. The street that we live on, this I think used to be like the original core of a big dairy farm. And so like a lot of the pasture land was parceled off over time to other relatives and stuff like that. And to where eventually this is like the core that's like left.
Right.
Very
That's
cool.
awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, sharing your heart and your journey and where you're going. Excited to continue to watch you on YouTube and see where the Lord takes you, and hopefully, this journey is going to be fruitful for you. I'm excited for you, man.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Will. This has been a real privilege.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. Well, until next week, I'm Will from Flatwood Acres.
And I'm Tom from Mountain Valley Maker.